Somali Peninsula, also known as the Horn of Africa because of how the Somali plate is shaped, is located in northeastern part of Africa. It is a very strategic location near the Bab al-Mandeb Strait connecting the Gulf of Aden and the Red Sea, a major sea lane through which almost one-third of the world shipping passes through. In the late 19th century, French, British, and Italian established colonial rule in the Somali Peninsula. Current-day Djibouti was under French control. Current-day self-declared Republic of Somaliland was a British protectorate, and current-day Federal Republic of Somalia was under Italian colony. It's important to note that the history of the Somali Peninsula is very extensive and does not start with colonial rule. However, for all intents and purposes, the focus of this video is the Somali Republic. Therefore, the focus of this video is the state of Somaliland, which was formerly known as British Protectorate, and Somalia Italiana. The British established a protectorate in Somaliland with its own army, flag, and currency. Its own travel documents, and many Somaliland people used to travel abroad to countries like Britain for educational reasons and for employment purposes.
That's the British Protectorate of Somaliland, where rain seldom falls and life in general is pretty tough. Wealth is measured in camels, the Somalis' most precious herds. Camels provide food and they provide transport. The people could scarcely get along without them. A royal visit to this country is a rare event, and it was obvious that the youngsters in particular were out to make the most of it. During his tour, the Duke of Gloucester brought a special message of greetings from the Queen to the Somali people. The Duchess, visiting a school, was entertained by a spirited performance by girl students. Ceremonial parades were naturally quite a feature of the visit. They look very smart, too. The Duke thanked the troops on behalf of the Queen for their loyal services in war and peace. Near Hargeisa, about 100 mounted tribesmen had gathered to express their loyal greetings. They said it with a spectacular charge across the airport.
Likewise, the Italians initially established a protectorate in Somalia. However, later on, Somalia became a crown colony with its own army, currency, and flags. After World War II, Somalia became a United Nations Trust territory under Italian rule.
Mogadiscio, la bella capitale somala, come è apparsa nella superba visione dei suoi bellissimi edifici, tutta candida fra il verde dei palmizi e l'azzurro del mare, al sottosegretario per l'Africa italiana, Sua Eccellenza Teruzzi, che è stato onorato al suo sbarco dalla presenza di Sua Altezza Reale il Viceré, che era accompagnato dai governatori e dai federali dell'impero, dall'ispettore del partito in Africa orientale italiana e dalle altre autorità civili, politiche e militari.
On the 26th of June 1960, the state of Somaliland became an independent state from Britain. This is the delegation that went to London to sign the Declaration of Independence. So here you see the Prime Minister of then Somaliland, Mohammed Haji Ibrahim Igal. Here you see Mohammed Haji Ibrahim Igal signing the Declaration of Independence in London in May 1960. He is here with his delegation from different parts of Somaliland. Here you see the delegation coming back to Somaliland after they have signed the Declaration of Independence. This is Hargeisa in May 1960. People are happy to see them. And a lot of people came to greet them. Here you see the 26th of June 1960. And the people came out in Hargeisa to celebrate the Day of Independence. Here we see the independence letter from Britain to the state of Somaliland. Following its independence, the state of Somaliland had a prime minister and its own parliament. The state of Somaliland was also recognized by 35 countries, including the United States of America. However, Somaliland, after being independent for just 5 days, Somaliland united with Somalia to form the Somali Republic. So you might ask, why? Why would Somaliland want to join with Somalia? Well, the reason is because in 1955, prior to Somaliland independence, Britain has given away a land belonging to the people of Somaliland to Ethiopia. This land is known held and reserved area. And practically speaking, the people here across the border are families related to people from held and reserved area. So by giving this land away to Ethiopia, the consequence is people of the same family being separated by a border. And this caused a massive protest in cities such as Hargeisa. These protests were also important in instigating Somaliland's quest for independence from Britain, and also the main instigator for uniting with Somalia. On the 1st of July 1960, Somalia became independent of Italy. The long-term objective was to unite all Somali territories under one state and one republic. The first 9 years of the Somali Republic forming, the politicians of the Somali Republic put a major focus on international relations.
It is the 27th of November, 1962. The capital city of the United States prepares to welcome a friend from Africa. Prime Minister Abdirashid Ali Sharmati of the Somali Republic is expected momentarily at the White House in Washington for his first meeting with President John F. Kennedy.
Prime Minister, separated as we are by geography and history, we also find a sense of kinship to your government, which in its separation of powers between the executive and the legislature and the judiciary bear a resemblance to the balance of powers which we have felt in this country best ensures the liberty of the individual. We are particularly heartened to have you visit us. Prime Minister, you're welcome.
Mr. President, I have great pleasure to convey to you and to the people of the United States the warmest greetings from the President of my country, from the government and the people of the Somali Republic. I'm looking forward to our meeting, which I'm sure will contribute on the creation of good relations between our two countries. Thank you.
That day, the Prime Minister and President Kennedy had their first meeting in the White House to discuss world issues and Somali social and economic development.
At Cologne-Bonn Airport, the leading political representatives of the Federal Republic of Germany, headed by President Heinrich Lübke and Chancellor Ludwig Erhard, await the arrival of a prominent visitor from Africa. His Excellency Aden Abdullah Osman, President of the Somali Republic, pays a state visit to the free part of Germany in order to hold personal talks designed to strengthen the fruitful political, economic and cultural relations between the two countries. After a cordial welcome, at which members of the Somali embassy are also present, the national anthems of these two friendly powers are played. Together, the two heads of state inspect the Guard of Honor drawn up by the Bundeswehr, the first steps on the soil of a country which during the next 10 days, Aden Abdullah Osman will come to know more closely, attentively followed by eager reporters and journalists representing the international press. On the day of his arrival, the illustrious visitor, escorted by a police motorcycle unit, calls at the Palais Schaumburg in Bonn, the official residence of the Federal Chancellor. At this meeting, which is also attended by the General of the Somali Police Force, the principal subjects of discussion are the technical and economic problems facing this rising young country, which has only been independent for 5 years, and which is now able to bear the sole responsibility for its future. Chancellor Erhard and President Osman, as well as ministers of the two governments, confirmed their mutual interest in further intensifying the present good cooperation. The visit of the African head of state to the German federal president and Frau Wilhelmine Lübke is marked by a spirit of mutual esteem. In the presence of his ministers who accompany him on his tour of the Federal Republic, President Osman is decorated with the Grand Cross of the Order of Merit of the Federal Republic of Germany by President Heinrich Lübke. The German president is honored by the award of the Order of the Somali Star, presented to him by his African guest.
This was 1968, and the Prime Minister of the Somali Republic was Mohammed Haji Ibrahim Igal. And here he's visiting, born in Germany. Again, here what you see is the Prime Minister, Mohammed Haji Ibrahim Igal, visiting the United States. This was also 1968.
I understand, Mr. Prime Minister, that this is your first visit to the United States. You will find many differences here between our countries, but you will also find much that is the same. Like you, we value the dignity and the freedom of the individual. Like you, we are striving to perfect our democratic institutions and to provide better homes and better medical care and better schools for all of our people. Like you, we are working with all of our hearts and our minds to secure a just peace. We are deeply proud that we have been able to offer a measure of help to your people in your own efforts to achieve these common goals. I'd hoped that we might welcome you this morning in the warm glow of a Washington spring, but Mother Nature has seen fit to give us instead just a parting taste of winter. But I know that you will find that our friendship for you and for your people flourishes in every season. Mr. Prime Minister, we bid you and your lovely lady the warmest of our welcomes.
Even though my people are geographically remote from the shores of the United States, Yet they know and feel that they share with the people of this great country the irresistible bonds of similar institutions of government, mutual belief in democratic rule, and a commitment to preserve the dignity of man and his supremacy over his own institutions of government. Our country, Mr. President, is as large as your state of Texas, as big as Portugal and Spain together. And even though remote in distance by the standards of a bygone age, it has been brought closer to your nation by the modern advancement of technological development. We are close to others also in the family of nations, because geographically we are a crossroads of Africa, Asia, and Middle East.
In 1969, the President of the Somali Republic visited Egypt. In 1968, the President of Zambia, Kenneth Kwanda, visited the Somali Republic. And here he's being welcomed by the President of the Somali Republic along with his ministries. In 1967, King Faisal of Saudi Arabia visited the Somali Republic to strengthen the relationship between the two countries. The northern part of Kenya, known then as the Northern Frontier District, or NFD, belongs to Somalis, and the inhabitants of this area are Somalis and share culture, religion, and language with the people of the Somali Republic. It was prior to Kenya's independence. Prior to Kenya's independence, it was agreed between the Somalis and the British, who at the time controlled Kenya, that the NFD will join the Somali Republic. And the people of the NFD voted to join the Somali Republic. However, in 1963, when Kenya became independent, the British handed over NFD to Kenya. This caused anger amongst the Somali people and the Somali politicians. Due to the situation in the Northern Frontier District, the Somali Republic cut off ties with Britain and closed their consulate in Mogadishu.
East Africa has severed diplomatic relations with Britain. So at Mogadishu, our embassy staff had to say goodbye to the country in which they'd been very happy. In some quarters, the decision was a surprise, and hurried packing was the order of the day. Of course, they all knew that Somalia claimed territory in neighboring Kenya, known as the North Frontier District. but the British colonial secretary had ruled that the district is rightly a part of Kenya. So native employees of the embassy were paid off, while the rest of the staff made tracks for the airport. One of them said the departure made diplomatic history because there was no bad feeling on either side.
This is Alistair Matheson reporting from the Somali Republic. Here we are in Mogadishu on the shores of the Indian Ocean. Mogadishu is the capital of this independent African state, which has just taken a decision to break off diplomatic relations with Britain over the very contentious problem of the NFD area in Kenya, which the Somali Republic claims should be handed over as it is populated almost entirely by people of Somali origin. And here we have one of the members of parliament in the National Assembly, Mr. Michael Mariano. This is Alistair Matheson in Mogadishu, capital of Somali Republic. I have here with me Mr. Michael Mariano, who is a solicitor in Mogadishu. Formerly, Mr. Mariano is from the northern part of the Republic, which is formerly British Somaliland. And he regards Hargeisa, the former capital, as his home, but he's now settled in Mogadishu. Mr. Mariano, I was wondering if you can tell us if you support fully the government's action in breaking off diplomatic relations with Britain. As a member of parliament, I support the government in this action of theirs. I realize that it's an unfriendly act, but we feel as Somalis that the British government has been guilty of more serious unfriendly acts in giving away our territories and denying us the right to self-determination.
The Shifta War was a war between Somali Liberation Movement in the Northern Frontier District and the Kenyan forces. The Somali Liberation Movement was backed and supported by the Somali Republic, whereas the Kenyan forces were supported by the UK. The Shifta War lasted for 4 years from 1963 to 1967. The Kenyan police force treatment of the Somali people was very brutal. And because of this, the uprising amongst the Somalis increased. In 1967, the Prime Minister of the Somali Republic, Mohamed Haji Ibrahim Igab, signed a ceasefire with Kenya to end the war. Here you see the Prime Minister of the Somali Republic. In 1969, the then President of the Somali Republic, President Sharmake, here on the left, was assassinated, and the Prime Minister of the Somali Republic was imprisoned for 12 years. In that same year, in October 1969, this man on the left, called Mohamed Siad Barre, came to power and became the President of the Somali Republic for the next 21 years. Here, what you see is the ceremony held for the funeral of the President of the Somali Republic in 1969. Many people came up for his janazah. Janazah is the Islamic burial ceremony. The Prime Minister was imprisoned for 12 years from 1969.